Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Buckeyes Battle Cry. Peter and Rob again with you, wrapping up week one of college football. Of course, we know there are still two games to be played, but normally that's not going to be the case here on Sundays. This is going to be a regular segment for us here throughout the season. Of course, wrapping up the week that was in college football from an Ohio State perspective, of course, first and foremost, then a Big Ten perspective, and then we're going to talk about national headlines and storylines and Heisman watch. So stay tuned. We got some exciting headlines and news stories to cover in today's wrap up of week one of college football. But Rob, first impressions of the Ohio State performance versus the Akron Zips. How did you feel coming out of the game yesterday?
I felt pretty good about the team. To be honest, there was no sense of urgency in this game. It was
Yeah,
not a matter of winning or losing. I knew Ohio State was going to win. It was a matter of, okay, when are they going to start picking up the pace? When are they going to start picking up on offense? Defense was as solid as usual. BIA, the defensive line, Jack Sawyer looks a lot better. JTT, he had one sack, but he's slow. Just getting. I mean, you got to have that quick jump to be able to get off the ball and get after him. And
hmm.
he's just. It seems like he's just not that quick. But
Interesting.
I was impressed, and also CJ Hicks. I can see why.
Yeah,
I could see Reese getting ahead of him in the depth chart,
Arvell
which
Reese.
I hope to see. Reese looks a lot more disciplined. He sits back and lets the play develop rather than just going, 100 miles per hour to wherever, no direction. And I think that's the key success of a linebacker, rather than Hicks would either get there way too early or show up way too late. One thing that caught my attention to him is like he doesn't pick up on when he needs to go into on what man he needs to pick up in terms of like the running back would do wheel route. I'm pretty sure that's his guy, and he would arrive there way too late and be like a first like 5 yard gain or first down every time. Um, but when it was like, I think it was like what, 7-3 by the mid second.
Yeah,
It took that like I think it was 17-3 by halftime,
yeah, it was. Yep.
and I'm like, this is really disappointing. The amount of hype that was put into this season by the media and just the fan base. I mean, I was expecting it to be like 35 to nothing by halftime, but that wasn't the case. It took them mid third to finally pick up the pace. And what did they do? That they won like 52-3.
50, 56. Sorry, 52-6. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is. I liked how after a while the offense picked it up, and as Ryan Day put it, the offensive line finally settled in. That's when they were able to pick up in the pace in terms of the run, the pass, getting Will Howard the protection that he needs, because there were a couple plays where he had to dance around in the pocket, which he's really good at
Oh yeah.
being mobile within the pocket, something that Kyle McCord wasn't. But another thing is on offense, as good as JJ Smith ended up being as good as advertised. I could see
Certainly.
why there was like a big all eyes were on him a national signing day, especially the whole, oh, he didn't send in his letter yet to
Yeah.
Ohio State, so he
The
may float to
drama.
Miami. I can see why a lot of teams were going after him and doing whatever they could to get him. That dude is as good as advertised.
Yes.
He got 2 touchdowns, 92 yards. He's gonna be a big red zone threat. And I could honestly, I mean, our buddy Matt and I were talking about it. I could honestly see we could honestly see him being one of the best wide receivers in the country when at the end of the season. But he balled
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Will Howard, he was making a lot of good decisions. His accuracy got a lot better
Hmm.
as the game went on. And also,
Hmm.
it's good that he's really mobile too, in the pocket, having run the first down, and we haven't had that in a while. They didn't really let McCord wasn't even mobile in the pocket.
No.
Stroud, they didn't really let him run. And the
Yeah.
last time, it's been a while since Justin Fields. So
Yeah. 2020.
overall, I'm expecting more come week 2. They really got to get things going early. They can't just wait, to pick up the pace. They got to set the tone.
So you expect a better performance in week 2. You're hoping for a better performance out of the gate.
Yeah, just out of the gate. You have to set the tone on both sides of the ball. Not saying that they didn't set the tone on the defense side of the ball, but
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a quick 3 and out their first possession.
Seriously.
That was a bit disappointing.
On your scripted drive to go 3 and out, that is interesting, especially versus a team the talent level that Akron has. And then if you had on your bingo card that Ohio State was ever going to trail in this game, then congrats to you, because I don't think many Buckeye fans expected to ever be losing in this contest at any point. And we were down, yeah, it was only 3-0, but we were down to lowly Akron. And that was not something I expected to feel. Another thing was like, I kind of like you, I didn't expect to feel any kind of emotion, just complete almost, I'm not boredom because it's the first game of the season, of course, but I didn't expect to feel any type of emotion yesterday versus Akron. And I felt slight annoyance with things were not going well offensively. Now, defensively, we were taking care of things. They weren't moving on us. They weren't driving on us. And we were being effective and swarming to the football. Now, we did miss a couple tackles early on in the football game. I think we were getting the jitters out. And that was surprising to see as well. But offensively, obviously, we got the ball rolling and things were really moving in the second half. We went from 17 points to 52. Clearly, things were clicking and working. But give me your overall grade of the O-line and just the offense in general yesterday as a totality.
So at first, for the offensive line, I'd give him C plus, but as time went on, they ended with a B plus.
That high? Okay,
a B plus, yeah, a B plus. Overall offense, I'd give an A minus due to the fact it took them a while to pick it up, and that's just me being generous. I think JJ Smith and Will Howard got them that A minus though. So
yeah, Will Howard, like you mentioned, was very accurate with the ball. His ball placement is good. His pocket presence and mobility was elite, something that you said we've been missing, and we certainly have been. And just the overall leadership from the quarterback position was a big difference too. I know Kyle had a big day versus the Ohio Bobcats, but his demeanor on the field, I always felt like, in football, your team looks to you as the sergeant and the colonel on the field. And if your demeanor is off like Kyle's was all last season, man, what a difference it was with Will, his confident leadership. Like he really exudes confidence in just who he is. He's very secure in who he is as a 23-year-old quarterback. And that's encouraging to me. And that was exciting to see. Now, in terms of the run game, I figured Quinshon would get more carries, and he did. He had 13 compared to Travion's 8, but he had far less yards than Travion Henderson did. And that was interesting to me.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. Just in this game, I think Henderson is lightning and Judkins is thunder.
Yeah, no, you've been saying that, and that definitely proved to be true for sure. That definitely played out that way. Henderson averaged 8 yards a pop on 8 carries, so he performed well. He was our leading rusher for the football game. It was nice to see Howard get out of the pocket and actually move and extend some plays. But yeah, I want to see the O-line assert their dominance, especially against a team like Akron. And I'm not sure that ever came to fruition in the game yesterday from my perspective. Obviously, the run game started getting going better in the second half. It did. Like, there's no question about it. But versus an inferior opponent like Akron, you expect more gaping holes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that definitely still remains a concern for me. Now, overall performance, you can't be too. You got to be picky with 52 points when 52 points are on the board, and we're definitely nitpicking. But there's definitely things to improve and work on, and I think they will improve, especially when Donovan Jackson returns to the starting lineup.
Yeah. I just think that, it makes me nervous about that. I mean, yeah, it's 52 points, but look how long it took. And it's just like, if you look at the previous seasons with Ryan Day at Ohio State, it took them a while to pick up the pace of the game and get things going. And this is the year to not have that happen. I mean,
Mhm.
this is a really talented team. I would hate for them to what who's their first when do they play Iowa?
Yeah, week 5.
So I would hate to see them, they get into Big Ten play and teams who they should have a problem with, they don't look prepared, they're having a hard time getting things going. It's taken till like, oh, they're a second half team. Like, no, I want to see them from the start assert their dominance. And they're
Without
too
question.
talented a team not to. I mean, it
Yeah.
can't be like I think it was last season when I forgot Urban Meyer was there and the camera showed him he didn't look too happy because they just look unprepared and they weren't getting things going. They were clearly the more talented, superior team, but for some reason they're letting them hang in there. So I think it was against Maryland or Nebraska. Not sure which one, but
Yeah.
with what was happening, it just they're just too talented. So again, I want to see them assert their dominance from the start.
Yeah, certainly that's the expectation we have as Buckeye fans, especially with as loaded as this roster is from top to bottom. We definitely have one of the top 3 rosters in college football. And so that's the expectations we have. Ohio State, if it ain't perfect, there's things to work on and there's things to improve on. And our fan base is very spoiled. Let's put it bluntly, we are very spoiled, but we have high expectations, and when they aren't met, that's I wouldn't say cause necessarily concern, but it definitely catches your eye and say, "Wow, yeah." If we're going to beat the best of the best teams, we got to start strong. We can't play one good app of football versus the elite teams in America and expect to win. So
Yeah, I
defensively,
mean,
man, what do you think?
can I
Shine,
just say one more thing?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I mean, when they're gonna go to play teams like Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, even Iowa, like you can't just like wait to get things going. Be like, okay, we'll figure it out we'll figure it out after halftime. Like, no, like they need to come out swinging first play and set the tone of the game. There can't be any of this picking up the pace, like I've been saying, come
exactly.
halftime. So, but what about the defense?
Yeah, how would you rate the performance as a collective whole?
Man, I will give them an A+.
Yeah, praise is high, right?
Yeah.
Who's shown out to you? I mean, like obviously there are a lot of stat patters and Caleb Downs in the defense now, but who
Uh,
obviously we had two defensive touchdowns as well and three caused turnovers. That's huge for Ohio State because Jim Knowles' defense are not known for getting turnovers, and we got 3 of them yesterday, so that was awesome to see.
Man, I'm really eating my words right now, but I think Latham Ransom really stepped up his game. Uh, you know,
Played
we'll
well.
we'll it's clear that the dude put in a lot of work in the offseason and his the way he played and his skill set really showed. But it's game 1 versus Akron. I'm still
Mhm.
very weary about Lathan Ransom, so we'll see how things
Okay.
go as the season goes on. Jack Sawyer just got after him like since the beginning. Like
Yeah.
that dude has improved. He's quick. He's got the key to being successful at edge is having that first jump off the ball to be able to get a step ahead on the around the edge. So I
Sure.
I think he's lost weight. He's a lot
Yeah.
quicker. He's stronger. Dude looks jacked. Just like freaking like a man child. But I really liked how the defensive line played. Like they played elite, and
Yeah.
you know what? I've tried to sit back and wait for JTT to evolve and show
Hmm.
up again like he did for the Penn State game. I look, I get it's hard to duplicate that type of performance. I think
Yeah.
two interceptions, one fumble recovery. One of those interceptions was taken back for a touchdown, but he hasn't come like close. I mean, I know he got a sack and a half, I think.
Yeah. He played
So,
in that stat. He performed well for sure.
but in terms of like getting after him,
Right.
he need to be quicker. And you know what? I think I saw more from Kenyatta Jackson and who is it, Caden Curry?
Mitchell Melton. Yeah. Mitchell
Yeah,
Melton, number 17.
I think I saw more from them than JTT. So could we be,
I agree.
could we be seeing them more in the rotation? I mean,
I
only
don't think
time that
so. Per- Personally, I don't think so. But Melton and Kenyatta were all over the field as well. But like you said, JTT got the 1.5 sacks, but outside of those two plays, I really don't remember seeing him around the ball very often, to be honest. Like that, I think that's the kind of the point you're making. Like statistically, he didn't have a bad game, but the eye test and being around the ball and making plays and creating havoc. Like we saw Jack Sawyer flying into the ball. We saw um, Sonny Siles and Mitchell Melton flying into the ball, and Lathan Ransom flying into the ball. He led the team in tackles with 9 tackles. JTT's performance, he had one other tackle besides the second half, so he wasn't a huge difference maker.
I don't know. I'm just gonna be disappointed if it's just the same old story. Like we need Sawyer and JTT to show up this season. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe JTT doesn't fit within Jim Knowles' system.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not the hybrid type edge that Jim Knowles is looking for, like Jack Sawyer,
Mhm.
who is quick, can fly around the ball. Maybe JTT is more of a I don't know, he's more of a SEC type guy. They don't like kind of like in Nick Saban's Alabama system where they just had guys getting after him, getting the quarterback. Not you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just think that I don't know. We've been waiting patiently for this guy,
Hmm.
and I would hate to see come the Michigan game where I just want to see them destroy Michigan, and
Sure.
that may not happen for him. So
Yeah. My takeaway is this. He just wasn't flying to the ball and he's not quick. I think in the NFL he's going to be a defensive tackle. That's my assumption. I think his body type fits a defensive tackle better than the defensive end because he's not quick twitched. He's just not. And so I think he's going to get moved inside the NFL. I think he could have a very successful career in the NFL,
but is
but
he
I don't think he's a defensive end at the next level at all.
is he big enough though to
Oh
be a
yeah, he's
defensive tackle?
big.
I mean,
Yeah,
what is he like,
he's
280,
big.
285?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he could easily put on weight. He has the frame and the body frame to easily put on more weight if he got moved inside. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't foresee that being an issue. I mean, he's Samoan, so I mean, Samoans know how to put on weight. So yeah, I think he'll definitely be a defensive tackle in the NFL. But I'm not going to harp too harsh on a guy that had a 1.5 sacks. But I do agree with you. He didn't seem to be as nearly as disruptive as Jack Sawyer. Tyreek Williams had 7 tackles at defensive tackle for us yesterday. He was clearly a force, which I didn't notice until I looked at the stats. And yeah, JTT's got to step it up. I agree. He's got to be more impactful and get in the face because even when Sawyer didn't record a statistic, he was in the quarterback's face, making him make a decision. Forcing the action. He was imposing his will on the game. Let's put it that way.
I mean, he was the main cause for that quarterback's exit, by the way. Sawyer
Yep.
was.
Yep. Yeah, and on that note, I do feel a little bit bad for Finley because his entire extended family was in town for that game. Seeing
Yeah.
your relative play in the horseshoe, that's a dream come true, and he didn't get to do that yesterday for very long. So I do feel for him in that regard. But yeah, the defense was explosive, man. Gabe Powers had the highlight of his career so far as a redshirt freshman. He might play some significant minutes down the road, in years to come, and he might not have a better play than what he had yesterday in his entire career. So I have high
Oh yeah.
expectations for the kid, but that's a highlight
I
reel play.
Yeah. Houston batted it up, and Gabe Powers
Yeah,
came, plucked it out of the air, and took it back the other way. Yeah,
the truth,
that was a big play. But
big time play.
I think over time, Everell Reese
Oh yeah.
will be moving ahead of CJ Hicks. CJ Hicks, I'll say it again, he's not disciplined. He looks a little lost out there. Yes, he had one sack, and that's great,
hmm
but it just doesn't seem like he's very patient.
My observations, I think it's mental. I don't think I don't think he reads the game well. That's my take. I could be completely wrong. I'm not a huge football savant, but I think he's mentally slow because he's definitely not physically slow. There's no question he's an athletic freak, but mentally, I think he reads the game slow, so then he reacts slow to the play.
Oh.
And I know that's a harsh criticism, but after a season and a half, like I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm saying he doesn't process the game quickly.
You
That's not what
just
I'm saying. That's funny. Yeah,
no,
no,
that's I'm like, oh man,
yeah.
that's
Oh, I'm not
that's
saying he's
harsh.
stupid in any regard. That's not the point. Although
All
it's
right,
definitely
Peter,
came across that
we're
way.
not gonna walk back our. All right, man.
No, no, he just processes it mentally. He processes the game slowly. That's my takeaway from CJ Hicks and why he's not performing up to par.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
what I was saying, like he's not patient. He doesn't let the play develop. He just goes, you know.
hmm, yeah, he's kind of got one speed for sure. I agree with you. So I don't know if you have anything else to say about the high state accurate game before we pick our buck of the weeks, or our buck of the week player of the game. But yeah, just I guess overall performance grades. What would you rate it out of 10? Like we're going to try and do this every week. How would you rate the performance on a number scale, 1 to 10, 10 being the best
Man, I
as a unit?
due to the fact it took them to pick up their game quite a bit, I give them an 8.5.
Okay, I feel like that's pretty generous. Okay, that's not bad. I actually have them a bit lower. I would say 7.5. I expect to maul and destroy the Akron defensive line, and that didn't happen. And so I downgraded that for that. Special teams was pretty good overall. We had some nice power returns from Innis, although none of them actually counted. And then the defense was elite. So yeah, I definitely rate the offense a little lower, and the defense was
Yeah.
exceptional.
I
So
mean, now that you put it that, I mean, you know what? I'll go down to 8.
okay, fair enough.
I give him an 8 out of 10.
Fair
And
enough.
I'm saying that, yeah, the offense took a while to pick it up, but I really liked what I saw from Will Howard. That's why
Yeah,
I'm giving
I
it 8.
was satisfied by the end of the game. Were you
Yeah.
not?
I do want to see more from Emeka Ibuka.
For sure. Yeah, 4 catches, 52 yards. Almost had the touchdown, but he got pushed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more against Akron as well, for
And
sure.
also, I think that Devin Brown's done.
I agree.
I think he's the moment, the stage, the program. It's just too big for the guy.
hmm
He's shown no improvement. His deep ball is too deep.
Yeah, not good.
No accuracy
None.
at all. I just think that they need to start working towards the future and let Sane get more reps, and Nolan as well. Let Brown walk. and let Keenholz walk.
Here's my theory on why he's QB2, and I fully agree with you. I think he has such a good grasp of the offense mentally and his experience in the program and the inexperience. Sayan's only been here 9 months, and I think that helped Brown win the battle. And I think Sayan's body still needs a ton of development. He is severely underweight, even still in the fall. And I think by midseason, Julian Sayan will be QB2. But the pecking order, I think, is pretty clear. But physically, talent-wise, Devin Brown doesn't have it. I agree with you. I think by midseason, for sure, Julian Sayan will be QB2. But I think even for the next – it sucks, but I think even for the next couple of weeks, I think Devin Brown is still going to be QB2. That's just my 2 cents on the thing.
I mean, just from I remember I saw him just throw the deep ball. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I'm like, oh, he overshot him by a mile.
Yeah. And then he threw the out route, and he missed the same receiver, Ballard, by a couple yards on the out route, and it was not in a good throw.
Didn't it sail over his head? I think it sailed.
I feel like it went outside. It was outside of Ballard on the out route. But yeah, on the long ball, he wasn't even close to the area code to Jaden Ballard. And he's very physically limited, and I love his heart, and I think he's a leader on the team. But physically, he's got a ceiling, and it's not a high ceiling, unfortunately. And that sucks to say, but yeah.
I mean, he could very well be like a Kyle McCord who needs to go to a lower program. I mean, look what Kyle McCord's doing in Syracuse. It proves that the moment was too big for him at Ohio State. And you know what? I don't think Devin Brown has the physical skill set nor talents to be able to be successful at Ohio State.
I would tend to agree.
And you know what? Now we see the bigger picture as to why last season, around this time or a little bit before the first game, why it took so long for the QB battle to wrap up. I think none of them were ready.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, last year was a lot more dire situation than what we're in this year at quarterback. That's for sure. Kyle, I'm rooting for you. Once a buck, always a buck, in my opinion. I hope you succeed at Syracuse, and Devin Brown, I hope you find a program that you can excel at too, because it's not Ohio State. So and that is unfortunate. But
I think Kyle McCord threw for over 350 yards and 3 to 4 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns and a pick. Yep. Versus the Ohio Bobcats. Now, honestly, he put up similar stats like that at Ohio State too, versus the Baby Seals. But the big games, he was pretty terrible. So,
let's you know what?
So
1 second. Let me see some real quick.
Yeah, so I'm definitely rooting for Kyle. You can jump in at any second when you find what you're looking for. I hope he has a good season. I even saw an MGO blog today, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but people were pining for Kyle McCord on MGO blog, even though they called him Honda McCord last year. That shows how down and out they are at quarterback in the Michigan locker room. But what do you got? What do you got for us?
So Syracuse plays Georgia. Here's their schedule: Georgia Tech, Stanford, Holy Cross, UNLV, North Carolina State, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, Boston College, California, UConn, Miami, Florida. Sounds like a pretty easy schedule right there. We'll see how they do against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech really showed up against Florida State, so we'll see what.
Seems like they've got a 3-game schedule too: Georgia Tech, NC State, Miami, Florida. Other than that, yeah, pretty winnable games for the Orangemen out there. But yeah, before we move on to the Big Ten roundup section of this Week 1 recap video, who is your Buck of the Week? Who is your MVP for Ohio State this weekend versus Akron?
I say Jeremiah Smith, JJ Smith, dude. He showed up great as advertised. true freshman looking to, end up being the best wide receiver in Ohio State history.
Mhm.
There was this thing I saw, and it was a picture of Marvin Harrison Jr. looking
Yeah,
out
I
and
saw that.
waving goodbye as he was playing in the shoe for the last time. They have a picture of JJ Smith walking out to being in the shoe the first time and waving hello. So I think that's kind of like the torch is being passed on to the next great wide receiver at Ohio State. I think JJ Smith, uh, he he's going to do some great things for the Buckeyes, and it showed with his 2 touchdowns and 92 yards. Look for him to be a big red zone threat.
Oh yeah,
Being able to get vertical. I mean, I guarantee you his vertical jump is probably close to a little over 45 inches. So
yeah. He's a lead at a high point in the ball, and it was exciting to because there's so much buildup on hype for him coming in this season, and for him to ball out like he did, that's really impressive. Now, respective of, to our opponent, Akron, like okay, you would hope a generation receiver would do that against Akron, but not everybody performs well in the first game. Not, and obviously he did drop his first pass. Clearly, he had to get the nerves out, and then from there on out, he could breathe, relax, and he clearly balled out. I yeah, this is just me who I am as a fan. I need to see what he's going to do versus Iowa and Oregon before I crown him our best wide receiver.
I didn't
Because
say he was the I didn't say he was the best wide receiver.
no, yeah, I know. I'm just saying that. I'm saying if he proves it versus Iowa and Oregon, then I think he'll probably be better than Emeka. Because he balled out. I'll just say that, and respect to a freshman because we've never had a game one performance like that from a freshman wideout ever in our history. So respect him. My book of the week is the guy we mentioned slightly earlier was Lathan Ransom. He was into the last 5 games of the year. I thought he had a much better season in 23 than he did in 22, and he's even building on that even more in the introduction to 2024. 9 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, the fumble recovery for the touchdown. Lathan Ransom reintroducing himself onto the to the college football landscape, and he had an absolute game yesterday. And so I'm excited to see what he can do against the more talented athletes that he'll be facing this year, and what he does in the high pressure situations and in the high key opponents that we face down the road. So
All right, man.
we'll see what Latham's got. But we'll move on to the Big Ten.
But you know what? I'm gonna follow suit with you. Before I switch my tune on him, I want to see how he does against Iowa, Oregon, and all them.
Yeah,
So
because they got some good defensive backs, so that'll be some real matchups there, right?
yeah,
For sure.
I'm saying about Ransom too.
Yep.
They got
Absolutely.
some good. Those like Oregon has some good wide receivers, so I want to see how he does.
Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart. Yep, they are elite wide receivers. So moving on to the Big Ten roundup, man. Let's talk briefly about some key games. We'll start with the Oregon game now. Just to set the stage a little bit, this is why stats can be deceiving, man. Dylan Gabriel was 41 of 49 for 380 yards, and yet they only scored 24 points. He didn't even turn over the ball. So now I haven't watched tape of this game. We caught it, here and there a little bit as we were flicking back between channels because we couldn't believe Idaho was within 3 points late in the fourth quarter against the Ducks. But obviously Gabriel did ball out, but the offense as a whole stalled out in the red zone multiple times apparently, and obviously clearly must have missed a lot of field goals. What's going on with Oregon?
It seems like that as the field shrinks, so does their offense.
Man,
It seems like they need to have an answer in the red zone. They may have a lot of speed demons, and really maybe they need to have some type of play for Dylan Gabriel to be able to get in that at the red zone.
sure.
But yeah, it just seems like as the field shrinks, they don't have an answer in the red zone. Also, I was not expecting Idaho to stick around that long at all. I think it was 17-14 at one point,
Yeah, midway through the fourth quarter.
and I'm just like, wait, I forgot what was the final score of the game.
Just 24-14.
Yeah, so our prediction was way off
We were.
on Team Rivalry Show. I mean, what do we say, like 62-3?
Yeah, I was around that range for sure, man.
Man, it just I'll you know what, I'll have to go back and watch that tape, cuz if they can't get, they gotta step it up in the red zone if they want to have a chance at. I mean, because they've been picked by several commentators to win it all.
I'd be shocked if they don't get jumped this week in the AP. I'd be shocked.
I mean, like I was just shocked that I mean, we're talking about Idaho. They're an FCS team, aren't they?
And have been for a couple years now.
And just like they don't got much going for them. I don't get it. Maybe we got a new quarterback, some new players in the system. It's their first year, but still, in terms of talent and being able to, But you can have talent, but if you don't have that execution down, it's not gonna matter. So
for sure.
Again, I mean, Evan Stewart's the first year, Dalen Gabriel. So
they clearly got some growing pains to work on, right? I mean, daggone. Idaho shouldn't have been in this ball game at any point as an FCS opponent, and not a great one either. And so that's FCS teams, if you didn't know this, they have less than half the scholarship that FBS teams have. So there's no reason that Idaho should have been in this football game. And another stat I was looking at, I know I'm a much bigger stat guy than you, but Dylan Gabriel was used to running all over the field. He had negative 23 yards rushing yesterday for the Ducks. Obviously, they count sacks as well. And so maybe the Ducks have removed that element, or maybe, I mean, he literally had about 700 yards rushing for Oklahoma last season, and he's always been a rushing quarterback throughout his career. So to see him that far in the negative was a little interesting to me. But at the same time, he did ball out through the air. But yeah, like you said, he got to finish in the red zone, man. So the Ducks, man, maybe they're not quite as formidable as we expected, but obviously, game one caveats apply. They're definitely going to improve. Like let's not get ahead of ourselves and judge too much harshly on one game, but certainly not the performance we expected from Oregon in game one. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Transitioning to the Michigan Wolverines, also quite an underwhelming performance. I want to hear your perspective on the quarterback play and the offensive line as well.
First off, I'm here to collect my receipts.
Yeah, buddy.
I heard a lot from the faithful, the fan base, shows I participated in. And what I heard is Donovan Edwards gained a lot of weight. He looks a lot faster. He's going to be an every down back. In terms of losing everyone but three or four starters, that no one develops better than us. They're going to be ready. And everyone was all aboard the Alex Orji hype train, but I was sitting back saying, hey, I don't know, man. Davis Warren looked a lot better in the spring game.
Yep.
And here's what happened with all 3 points. Donovan Edwards started where he finished last season. Little to no yards per carry, little to no yards after contact. Went down first contact. Khalil Mullings did a lot better. Let me put in perspective. Khalil Mullings had 4 to 6 yards per carry. Donovan Edwards had 1.5 to 2. For the offensive line, it showed that they're really inexperienced and they're first time starters. No more 5th, 6th year seniors. They all got drafted. And by the way, none of them made a roster. The only bright spot in that offense was Colston Loveland. And why? Because he had 2 years under his belt. He was an impact freshman, made a bigger impact as a sophomore. and it looks like he's going to be the first tight end. He's going to go he's the first round draft pick.
I concur.
He's going to be the first tight end taken off the board. And in terms of the defense, actually, wait, no, let me. I'm gonna my third point.
Sure.
Third point before I talk about the defense. Alex Orji, when he got in, he was like he's a red zone package, and half the time he's just a distraction.
Yep.
Davis Warren's the guy. Alex Orji's just there if they need a run on third down and short, or if they need to do some type of package in the red zone. But make no mistake, Davis Warren is quarterback one.
It's very clear they don't trust Orji.
I never got aboard the Alex Orji hype train. Whenever that dude did get in, they never let him throw the ball, and I could see why. When he had that little flip pass to Edwards in the red zone about 2 yards, and that's it. Other than that, like, that dude is not accurate at all. But
no.
And another thing is, I said that the defense would is their really bright spot. They're elite. Make no like that. That's the best front seven and possibly all of college football. They're well, you know what? Will Johnson's really good. I mean, except that one interception brought back for a touchdown. He didn't have that good of a game.
Agreed.
But other than that, like I said before, their defense is going to be elite, and they're going to keep them in a good amount of games. So all four of those points were proven last night. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Donovan Edwards, same old Donovan Edwards. The line looks really inexperienced, and they got pushed around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Davis Warren got a good amount of the snaps, and they actually let him throw. And Michigan's defense, they played a really good game.
Yep. Yeah, they did. One couple of interesting things that I wanted to point out about the offense. They've been pushing the slogan "smash" all off season. They're just continue smashing teams. That's what Moore has been pushing, and it's just one game. We're through game one. It seems more like a gimmick slogan, like "speed and space" never came to fruition. Well, under Sherrone Moore, it doesn't seem like smash is going to come into fruition, at least so far under this iteration. Now, an offensive line from game 1 to game 12 usually improves significantly. They typically do. And so Ohio State is going to see a better offensive line than what we saw versus Fresno State last evening here in Ann Arbor. But, boy, I mean, there was a 4th and 1 early in the game, and the last 3 years, you expect Michigan to get that every single time. Fresno State stuffed it. It was a turnover. And then another thing that was interesting, a change of pace, is that I don't recall ever in the 9 years Harbaugh was at the head of U of M, a 5-wide set. We saw 5-wide sets multiple times last night. And so that is a new wrinkle for them as well. I think the Alex Orji package needs to go away. They need to find a way to utilize him in a different way because they have no offensive weapons outside of Loveland. Someone else has to emerge for the Wolverines to have even a semi-successful season because Morgan and Morris, they are fast, very fast, but they couldn't even get open last night against Fresno State.
They're not good route runners. They're not good route runners.
They're not. They're great crossing route guys, and they burned even Alabama doing that. But man, someone else has to emerge, and they better figure it out quickly because they got Texas coming to town here in 6 days for a high noon kickoff. And I don't think they're prepared right now offensively. Defensively, I think they're keeping themselves in the game because their defense is that elite, in my opinion. Jason Barham, my goodness, he looks like Devin Bush back there. Not only because of the dreads, because of the havoc he was causing back there, linebacker. And then, of course, Josiah Stewart was a force to be reckoned with as well all night. He had a similar performance to Jack Story. He was just in the backfield all evening. And then to Will Johnson, the point that you mentioned, he gave up over 100 yards receiving, and then he definitely did redeem himself. And unfortunately, he got a highlight reel to seal the game, and he got that pick six. But I thought I thought he played pretty poorly last night until that moment. His first drive, he looked really good. He was breaking up balls, but then he gave him 100 yards, and then he get the pick six. So I don't know, man. Wolverines don't look nearly as formidable, and it's gonna be a lot more fun watching them.
Dude, I'm sorry, but they're gonna have to make a lot of drastic improvements for me to be a believer that they're gonna win next weekend, even though it's at home. Like a lot of improvements.
Texas opens as 5.5-point favorites. I saw earlier today.
Let me put this into perspective. All right. The rebuild is evident in Ann Arbor. We saw it firsthand, especially with that offensive line. But you know what? Who's not rebuilding? Texas is number 3 in terms of returning production
Sure.
in all of college football. So that's who's not rebuilding. And they made the playoffs last year, and they were literally about they're 20 yards short of coming back against Washington, and they have the same quarterback. Yeah, they don't have who do they lose at wide receiver in the draft? Xavier Worthy. But they do have Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, they took him from Bama.
And he's not a slouch. So Alabama, Texas. They came out swinging. They got off to a big lead, and you know what? They're going to come into to Ann Arbor with an attitude. I think they're going to take care of business.
Yeah,
maybe not by much, but I think they're going to take care of business. The difference is that Texas has Quinn Ewers and Michigan doesn't. That's the difference.
I think, there's a drastic difference between Quinn Ewers and Davis Warren, and there's a drastic difference between J.J. McCarthy and Davis Warren. We're looking at the difference between a 5-star quarterback and a walk-on, and he had a couple decent throws, but let's be honest, his throws were the majority easy. When he tried the deep ball, he severely underthrew a wide-open wide receiver. That was definitely 6 if you put the ball in the money, but he didn't have the arm strength to get it there. Most of his throws were to his safe check down, Colston Loveland. Nobody else had over 15 yards, and every throw was either an out route to Loveland or something over the middle to Loveland. He's never putting the game or putting the ball in harm's way, and that can be seen as a positive and a negative because he's not taking any risks with the ball. He's not forcing the defense to have to cover the whole field. He's just not. That's a big downgrade, man, at quarterback. And the Wolverines, I saw it last night on call-in shows and on MGO blog. They were checking themselves, said, dang, why did we not get a portal quarterback? Cam Ward was there. They were even calling for Kyle McCord. Look what he did. He could have been great in our offense this year. They're honestly, there's a lot of panic going on in Wolverine Nation right now at the quarterback position, and it's kind of funny to see. So
they're not panicking about Donovan Edwards. I would be.
I mean, people were downgrading him, but they love him so much because of what he done in big games. People. No, it's the truth. It's the truth.
That's like
perspective.
That's like a musician or a band who had a one-hit song. They're a one-hit wonder in like 20 years. Everybody still loves them for that song, even though they didn't do anything else since that time.
Yeah, there were a couple comments that said we need to put him a wide receiver, but the majority of the comments were, "I'm not willing to give up on him yet." So that's the kind of psyche that the Wolverine fan base has taken so far to Donovan Edwards. But I will say this though, the majority of the fans do recognize that Mullins is RB1 now. So
good, because you know what, I could have told you that in 2022.
We literally have been screaming this for quite a while. So I think it was obvious to any non-biased fans that he's not an elite running back, and this is very clear. So,
and as of right now, I'm glad that he didn't come to Ohio State. Even after everything, I'm glad he didn't come to Ohio State.
Sure thing, sure thing. I think he would have been a force in a Urban Meyer offense, but not in a Ryan Day offense for sure. So I think we dodged a bullet there. Now it sucks he went off on 22 on this, but hey, man, that was a long time ago. Let's see what happens in 24 in the shoe. So moving on to the national landscape before we wrap this show up here. The big game of the weekend, obviously, it turned out to be quite the snooze fest, at least for one fan base. But it went just about as expected. Both you and I knew Clemson was going to get blown out. I expected them to score a little more than 3 points. But, man, what's your takeaway from the Georgia-Clemson game, man?
Well, Georgia is still Georgia,
Yep.
even though, you've had all the off-field distractions. They're not distracted when it comes time to play the game of football. They're just as dominant. There's no slowing down. They got a really talented roster. KJ Bolden, he's a star.
He's real good.
He's really good. I can see why, Ohio State was really pushing for him. But, dude, I mean, he made a lot of good plays.
He was all over the field. I do want to counter your point that you just made, though. Georgia did not start well. They had 6 points at halftime. Now, they finished well, and they finished the game strong, but they definitely were not the dominant team in the first half. So, I meant they still got some more proving to be done.
They're starting the season well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quality win. It is. I don't think Clemson will be ranked at the end of the season, however. I think we both agree on that. I think they're going to have 4 or 5 losses. But yeah, no, I mean, they did end up taking care of business and handling the business in Atlanta, and they hope to be back there at the end of the season in the national title game. And even though I have them going 10-2, I still reserve that they could make the national title game. I just don't think they're – I still don't think they're going to make the SEC championship game, in my opinion. But I know that that looks sounds a little foolish. Dude, no, I'm not buying in. Man. I'm not buying in.
Dude,
I'm not changing my opinion.
You know what? I'm keeping the receipt, man. I'm keeping it.
I want people to.
I'm gonna pull it up as soon as Georgia makes it. But I think that, man, Dabo's time is coming to an end.
Well, yeah, that's my bigger takeaway from this football game is that the Clemson decline continues, and that Georgia is still elite. But I need to see more from them. So we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out. I think that defense is probably the best in the nation, the Bulldogs defense. I don't disagree there. I think they are severely limited offensively, though, even still. So we will see how that plays out throughout the season when they face some SEC defenses. Like I said, I mean, 6 points at halftime. I'm sure there are Georgia fans absolutely smashing TVs at the halftime. And so we'll see how things continue. But obviously, I think Georgia is still on a good trajectory. I just don't believe in them in the SEC conference. And Clemson's still on the downward trajectory. Any other games that nationally that caught your attention that you wanted to touch on real quick here?
We didn't talk about Penn State, West Virginia.
Of course, yeah. My fault. My fault.
Drew Aller looks a lot better. Looks like he's clicked more with the offense. Their new offensive coordinator is really bringing out the best in them. Mm-hmm. Nick Singleton looks really good as well. And didn't really see much from Katron Allen, but
sure. But you're right.
I think the Penn State offense looks a lot better. Even their defense still looks good, even after Manny. And that was the talk. They're like, even after Manny Diaz left, Tom Allen just came ready with the So
yeah, he was a very good defensive mind for the Hoosiers as head coach there. And he brings a toughness to the Penn State defense, and they continue their excellence on that side of the ball. But Alar played, I would say, better than I anticipated him to. And that matchup, man, in Happy Valley is going to be quite the showdown in November.
Yeah.
We will have already played the Ducks at that point, and if for some reason we do take an L in that game, we certainly wouldn't be able to take another one versus Penn State. So Drew L.R. stepped up, man. We'll see how he performs as the season continues. But game one, check. He does look better. I didn't see Penn State blowing West Virginia out like that. I thought it was going to be a nail biter.
I did.
I knew most of the panel saw it kind of going that way. But yeah, I definitely did not, and so that impressed me quite a bit. Yeah, they're gonna be formidable. Thank God it's not a night game, right? Thank God it's not whiteout. It's just a straight out in the Valley. Yeah. So yeah,
and go on.
Ahead. You go ahead.
So more national games. So let's not forget that, even though, the hype train continues for Coach Prime and Colorado, they were 5 yards away. They are so lucky that that quarterback didn't have a better arm, or they would have lost. They were 5, because you know what? Even though that pass didn't get in the end zone, it was 5 yards away. It was still caught, and it was 5 yards away from the end zone. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Colorado will be lucky to win 7 games.
Yeah, I predicted them at 5-7 at the onset of the season. I feel pretty confident in sticking to that. I think they do miss out on a bowl game. It'll be interesting, man. Big 12 is no joke. It's not as powerful or elite as the SEC and the Big 10, but there are some formidable teams like Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Central Florida, etc. So, and Kansas State as well. So, yeah, they're going to take some fat L's this season. Let's be real about that. Now, North Dakota State is a quality opponent, but they definitely they were this close, man. Like you said, 5 yards away. That Hail Mary connected. So I think a lot of people are excited to root against Colorado and Coach Prime and see him lose and fall off.
Yeah, another game. Florida State Boston College plays tomorrow, but very highly anticipated game tonight. LSU versus USC. I have LSU taking care. I have LSU. I have LSU taking care of business tonight against USC. But I mean, I just think that Lincoln Riley, he's a good offensive mind. He's a good quarterback coach, developer. But I don't think that. I think the moment's just way too big for him.
I think we're going to see a lot of points tonight. I do see Miller Moss having pretty good success against the LSU secondary, but I also see USC's defense being a sieve. So I think we're going to see a lot of points. I think we're going to see a highly entertaining game tonight. I am also picking LSU, even though I'm not high on LSU as a program as a whole right now. I'm very low on USC as a program. So, I see USC going 7-5, 8-4 this year. That's just my humble thoughts on the Trojans. But we'll see what they do. We'll see how Miller Moss does tonight, and that'll really judge my performance when they play Michigan on the 28th here in the Big House in September. So, a fun game tonight.
Definitely. All right, Heisman. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Heisman watch, man. Who do you think has introduced themselves onto the stage? Who had some of the best performances to put themselves in position? It's just week 1, but let's talk about it.
I do Travis Hunter, man.
No question.
Possibly the most talented, the best player in all of college football right now. Two-way player. He had 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards. That last touchdown where he snagged it from the back of the defender. I mean, just incredible. As good as it. I mean, dude was making plays since last year too. I mean, but I think he has a really good chance to end up in New York by the end of the season. I mean, the last defensive player to win it all. I mean, to win the Heisman was Charles Woodson.
Sure.
And I think Travis Hunter has a really good chance to do that. He's definitely gonna be making plays on defense.
Yeah.
More likely he's gonna get interceptions, pick sixes. But as of right now, he's making some really good plays on offense. He, besides Horn, number 5,
Sure.
speedster.
Oh, yeah, speed demon.
He's their best target. So real good chance to win the Heisman.
I would call him the front runner out of week 1. I think Carson Beck is in the conversation as well. He had a very nice game for the Bulldogs, spreading the ball around and getting some big plays for the Bulldog offense. Travis Hunter, I think he's electric, man. There's no other way to describe him. He is going to be an entertaining player at the next level as well. And my goodness, man, he's a star. He's going to make a lot of money from endorsements. He does not have a big personality. He's kind of shy and quiet, but he's going to make a lot of money on endorsements. And it already is at the NIL level here in college. It's interesting because stat-wise, Gabriel, I think, put himself in the conversation. And I did, in one of my previous videos, I did have him making New York City as a Heisman finalist. And stat-wise, he certainly lived up to it. I mean, 41 to 49, 380 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't turn the ball over, either a fumble or INT. So I think he's on pace, for a spot as a Heisman finalist. And so those are my 3, Beck, Gabriel, and Hunter. I think they really showed out and performed really well on a big stage for their teams in week 1. So
yeah, I mean, I think Hunter's was most memorable, so that's why I'm going with him only.
I agree. Like I said, I would call him front runner right now. So I think he is definitely the leader in the clubhouse now. Right now, we'll see how things transpire, and obviously hope all these guys stay healthy because we always love seeing a good Heisman race. But that's it for tonight's show. The week 1 wrap up. We're gonna be here every Sunday. Times are gonna vary, but yeah, we had a lot of fun, man, discussing all the things that were in week 1 of college football. Join us every Sunday. We're going to do this every single Sunday and just talk about what happened, man. What went down? What was the hot takes and the headlines from the season and takeaways? And it's going to be a fun season. We hope you guys continue to join us. So we will see you on the next one. But for now, that's it for Buckeyes Battle Cry. We will see you
Go Bucks
next time. Go Bucks. OH.
OHIO.
Later.